Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Sets video. Today's video is going to be all about Grumpig, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Grumpig is a Psychic-type Pokemon introduced in Generation 3 that possesses 3 unique abilities, the first of which being the Thick Fat ability that gives Grumpig an added resistance to both Fire and Ice-type attacks. As for its second ability, it is known as Own Tempo, which is an ability that makes it so that Grumpig can never be confused. And then its third ability, which is its hidden ability, is known as Gluttony, which makes it so that berries will activate when you go below half of your health, as opposed to when they normally would. So for example, a Salac Berry, which would increase your speed when you go below 25% of your health, will actually now increase your speed when you go below 50% of your health, which is a really cool ability to use if you want to run some type of offensive Grumpig, which is one of the sets that I have for you in this video later on. But as for the stats, the first thing that we're going to take note of is that Grumpig has a really nice 85 HP stat and a really great base 110 special defense stat, meaning that this Pokemon can be very, very bulky from the special side. Its physical defense, being only base 65, however, is quite lacking, meaning you won't be able to take hits that well from the physical side. However, being able to resist fighting type moves, being a psychic type, which is one of the most commonly seen physical type of attacks, will allow you to still be able to use your defense pretty well, and also obviously being able to have the resistances to both ice and fire from your Thick Fat ability allows Grumpig to do quite a bit on a defensive set. As for its attacking stats though, it only has a base 45 physical attack, meaning you're not really going to get anywhere with that stat, even though this Pokemon does have access to quite a few physical attacks as well as Power Up Punch, but it's not really the road you want to go down when using a Grumpig, because as you can see right here, it does have a really nice base 90 special attack and access to boosting moves like Calm Mind, allowing it to definitely do a lot of damage from the special side if you decide to run a specially offensive set. And lastly, it has a base 80 speed, which is basically an average speed tier. Unfortunately for Grumpig, that means it won't be the fastest thing in the world, but if you do want to run an offensive set on this Pokemon, there is nothing stopping you from doing that, because there are quite a few base 80 speed Pokemon that get by with the speed stat and allow them to be very offensive. So with that, let's take a look at the first set that I have for you in this video. So for this first set, we're going to start off by giving Grumpig a Calm Nature to increase its special defense but lower its physical attack, and for the ability going with Thick Fat. As for the EVs, we're going to max both its HP and special defense with 252 EVs into both of those stats, and then put the remainder 4 EVs into its defense. And for the item, we're going to go with Leftovers to allow Grumpig to recover a little bit of HP at the end of every turn. As for the moves, this set is focused entirely around para-fusion-fliching, which is a strategy that we're going to implement on this Pokemon to make it so that our opponent will pretty much have absolutely no opportunity to attack Grumpig. So the first thing I'm going to talk about on the set is that we're going to be going with Thunder Wave, which is an excellent move to obviously paralyze our opponents to make them slower, but also make it so that they have less of a chance to attack us. And to go along with that, we're also going to be running Teeter Dance, which is an ability that allows Grumpig to confuse its opponents. And the reason why we're going with Teeter Dance over Confuse Ray, they do the exact same thing in singles battles, but Teeter Dance has more PP, so it's better to go with that option because it has more PP. But once we have successfully paralyzed and confused our opponent, it'll make it incredibly difficult for them to attack us, which we can then also employ the use of the Psychic type attack Extrasensory, which is an 80 base power Psychic type move that also has a 10% chance to flinch. So we are implementing flinching through Extrasensory, confusion through Teeter Dance, and paralysis through Thunder Wave, and when our opponent is taking the brunt of all of these moves, it will be incredibly difficult for them to attack us. Now, if you do want to not use Extrasensory on the set, you could very easily go with Psyshock here, and that will give you the opportunity to obviously hit Pokemon that have a weaker physical defense than special defense. So that's just something to keep in mind. But if you do want to go with a attack that's going to be hitting your opponent's special defense, I would suggest Extrasensory over Psychic on the set, even though it's a little bit less powerful, just because of that extra 10% chance to flinch. And for the final move, which I listed first here, actually, we're going to be going with Substitute, because as our opponent is going to be having such a difficult time to attack us, that can give us a free opportunity to set up a Substitute, allowing us to get behind a protective barrier to shield us from attacks if our opponent is able to break through the para-fusion, and thus allow us to continue to annoy our opponents with this strategy, making it very impossible for them to attack us and allow Grumpig to do a lot of damage, while also being able to simultaneously function as a special wall if you would like to use it just as that as well, because of the max HP and max special defense on the EV spread. As for this next set, we're going to turn Grumpig, which is typically seen as a defensive Pokemon, into a powerful offensive sweeper. So we're going to start this one off by giving it either a timid nature to increase its speed but lower its physical attack, or a modest nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack. And then this time we're going to be going with the gluttony ability. As for the EVs, we're going to put 12 into HP, 244 into its special attack, and 252 EVs into its speed to give it its max special attack and speed possible, while also simultaneously making its HP number divisible by 4, which is going to come in handy a little bit later when I talk about the moves. But keep in mind for right now that this EV spread is specifically meant for level 100 stats. So if you're going to use this set over Wi-Fi, where it's typically set to level 50, I will explain how to adjust that in just a moment. But for the item, we're going to be going with a Psyshock berry to allow Grumpig to increase its speed stat by 1 stage once it gets below 50% of its health, thanks to the gluttony ability, because normally it would be when it gets below 25% of its health. And the way we're going to achieve this is through the use of the move Substitute, which is going to allow us to not only get behind a protective barrier to shield us from attacks and statuses, but also lower our health by 25% of our health every single time we go for it. So after we go for Substitute twice, we're going to activate our Psyshock berry, allowing Grumpig to be very fast. And in addition to making our speed stat increase through the use of the Psyshock berry, we're also going to be simultaneously boosting our special attack and special defense through the use of Calm Mind. And to go along with this, once we have boosted our attack and our speed, the 2 moves on this set that I'm going to recommend you use are going to be Psychic or Psyshock for your main Psychic type stab, and Signal Beam for the coverage. Now the reason why Signal Beam is so great on a Psychic type Pokemon is because this allows you to simultaneously hit the Dark types, which are immune to your Psychic type attacks, and also able to hit Psychic types, which resist your Psychic type attacks. So overall, Signal Beam is a great coverage move, and the choice between Psychic and Psyshock is really up to you, depending on what type of Pokemon you think you're going to be up against. Psychic obviously is the more powerful attack, but it hits the special defense of our opponent, whereas Psyshock is a little bit less powerful, but it hits the physical defense of our opponent. Now, I have been noticing of recent that Psyshock is more or less more useful at the moment just because of how common of an item the Assault Vest item is, and that obviously will be increasing the special defense of our opponents. So Psyshock can be great against those Pokemon that are trying to use an Assault Vest to take attacks a little bit better. But again, Psychic is the stronger attack, so it's really up to you. But overall, this is an excellent boosting set for Grumpig to turn it into a very offensive Pokemon, and thanks to the Gluttony ability, allow us to activate our Psyshock berry at a higher range of health than normal. Now, because this EV spread that I'm showing you right now is for level 100 stats, I will show you how to adjust it for level 50 stats, because obviously the HP numbers are a little bit different. So we're going to flip over that slide right now, and really all you're going to see right here is that all you need to do is just put 4 HP EVs into your HP at level 50, and then you can simultaneously then max out your special attack with 252 EVs into that, and also continue to max out your speed with 252 EVs into that. So overall, there's really very little that changes between these two sets, and it's very easy to make that adjustment. Say if you were going to use this for a level 50 Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire Wi-Fi battle, just remember that if you're going to make this set, just only put 4 EVs into it and then you're good. Otherwise, if you're going to use this on Showdown, you need those 12 EVs like on the previous slide. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video, so thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this Grumpig exhibition and are more excited to use this Pokemon than ever. So that's it for this video, so as always everybody, take care, goodbye, and I will see you all next time.